here with more is the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Madam Attorney General, great to have you.
Thanks, Sean.
I know that you have done this for a long time as the AG of Florida, now the AG of the United States. You knew Charlie Kirk. You were friendly with Charlie Kirk. I'm sure you never imagined you would be investigating and then likely prosecuting the person responsible for this political assassination. That's got to be hard.
I think it's hard on all of us, on so many Americans. And Sean, you go into prosecutor mode, you go into law enforcement mode, and you just start doing your job. But then you get home at night and you look up on the TV and you see Charlie's face and know that he was assassinated. It's truly hard to believe that this happened and that there could be such hate and evil in our country to a young father, a young husband who lost. You know, he lost everything. His family's lost everything. Two beautiful young kids who will not have a father. And I think when people do this, I guess they do know the extreme hate that they must have for him and for his family to commit such an act. But justice will be served.
But obviously the DOJ, coordination with the FBI and your office is acute right now. And what about the report about this roommate? What about the report that this suspect is not cooperating? I know it's hard for you to talk about investigations. Any details that you can give us?
Yeah, I can't talk about details at all. What I can talk about that's public is that the FBI worked long and hard from day one, got this case solved. It was great police work. They worked hand in hand with the local agencies, and then they gave the gun to ATF. ATF got the DNA off the firearm, and the DNA matched the defendant in this case. That's all public. Everyone worked so hard. This was solved so fast thanks to the work of Kash Patel, the FBI, and all of our local partners working together. And the state government is prosecuting it now. They will indict most likely tomorrow or this week. They will indict him for first-degree murder. And it's too soon right now legally to say, but I think the governor has said that they want to seek the death penalty, which is very real in Utah. And they still have the firing squad in Utah. And then we, as federal prosecutors, will look to see if we have federal charges as well. And of course, if we do, we will also indict and work hand in hand with the state to ensure that this horrible human being faces the maximum extent of the law.
Is there anything you can tell us about the would-be assassin's transgender roommate, not charged, whose name has not been released, according to accounts, was in a romantic relationship, transitioning? Anything that we know? Is that cooperation ongoing?
Yeah, as a prosecutor, I can't talk about motives or witnesses or cooperating witnesses or people who are talking at all, but I can tell you that there is a strong case against the defendant who is charged. And as Deputy Director Bongino said, it's ongoing as well.
I know, look, I make my living with the First Amendment, Madam Attorney General. You passionately believe in and support the First Amendment. There are certain things you cannot do. You cannot cry fire or scream fire in a crowded theater. You cannot make terroristic threats against individuals. I believe that law was broken with doxing of Supreme Court justices and people that work, ICE agents, for example. I think we are right there on that line, and I think some of those people have crossed it and probably should be prosecuted. But you also are watching and reading and hearing, this never-ending celebration of the left. We saw it with the United Healthcare CEO and the praise of Luigi Mangione. And you're seeing it in this case. It is evil. It is dark. It is sick. It is incomprehensible. Are there any, where does it become a legal issue from your vantage point as Attorney General?
Well, sure, we all believe in the First Amendment, and these people speak horrible things. I think yesterday or today, Sean, a school board member right here in Virginia had to resign because she said horrible things about Charlie Kirk and that he deserved to die. That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things. And they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that. immediately that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that. But Sean, they thought they could silence Charlie. All of this chatter, all of this hate, they couldn't silence Charlie. What they've done is they have created an army of people. I think millions of young people are coming out of the woodwork now. And I think we're going to see a lot of young women as well being very vocal in their conservative values. And Charlie was deeply, deeply religious. We all knew that. And he wore his faith on his sleeve. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more young people not be afraid to show their religion and to come out publicly. And I think Erica Kirk has done a great job encouraging young people to do just that in Charlie's memory. They thought they silenced him, and it was the opposite.
I totally agree. I think this movement will be bigger than anyone ever imagined. I only got about 30 seconds left. Any update on the narco-terror boat? This is the second boat now bringing drugs into our country that has been stopped. And I understand the Guard, like D.C., is going into Memphis, Tennessee. Any updates on those two?
Yeah. Well, if you're a narco-terrorist and you are bringing drugs into our country, you're a military threat to our country. You're a narco-terrorist. Maduro, Venezuela, what they're doing, they're trying to kill our kids. They're trying to bring drugs into our country. It's not going to happen. We're going to come after you. And if I were a drug boat, I would not get in the waters anymore, because I think Pete Hegseth and the Department of War with President Trump have made it very clear what's going to happen to you. If you try to bring drugs into our country, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. No longer in the United States of America. Memphis, we're thrilled to go into Memphis next week. The president signed the executive order today. We're working hand in hand with our U.S. senators, with the governor there. And we're just so excited about making Memphis safe again, just like we've done in D.C., Sean. Over 2,000 arrests, 200 guns off the streets. It's a safe place now here in D.C. You need to come visit us sometime, because it's safe here. And Memphis is going to be safe, too, thanks to Donald Trump.
I do go to D.C. New York might be a stretch, but Pam Bondi, thank you. We appreciate the update.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi faced a torrent of criticism online Tuesday after she suggested in two separate interviews that the Justice Department would absolutely target hate speech in the wake of Charlie Kirk's shooting death, sparking intense backlash from Republicans and other conservatives and prompting her to further clarify her remarks. Bondi attempted to bridge the divide between her remarks and what she called hate speech that leads to threats in a lengthy social media post Tuesday. Hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment, Bondi said, citing 3 U.S. laws that criminalize threats of direct violence, such as threats of kidnapping or injury. It's a crime. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. That era is over, she said, adding that free speech protects ideas, debate, even dissent, but it does not and will never protect violence. Bondi's remarks, made during The Katie Miller podcast interview, and in an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity during conversations about the fatal shooting of Kirk, prompted backlash across the aisle, though it was conservative voices who were the loudest. Many noted that Kirk, the Turning Point USA founder and subject of the interviews, was himself a vociferous defender of free speech protections under the First Amendment, which protects most forms of speech in the U.S., including offensive and hateful speech. Many also appeared to view the new statement as insufficient cover for Bondi's previous remarks. This isn't a correction or a retraction or a retreat. It's a post hoc attempt to bend the term hate speech to mean something that it never has, Charles C.W. Cook, a senior editor at the National Review, said on social media. Nearly 24 hours after Bondi's remarks, the criticism has continued, nearly all of it from Republicans and other notable conservative voices. Bondi came under fire for the 2 interviews Monday, neither of which distinguished the type of speech that threatened imminent violence from hate speech. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech, Bondi said, Monday in an interview with former Trump administration aide and podcast host Katie Miller. We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, Bondi said. In a separate interview on Fox News, Bondi reiterated a similar sentiment, suggesting that the government could prosecute Office Depot after an employee reportedly refused to print posters with Kirk's face on them. She said further that the department was looking at the Office Depot case in question. Businesses cannot discriminate, Bondi said on Fox News. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit. Looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. she said of the Office Depot employee in question. We're looking it up, she said. Most of the criticism that poured in Tuesday was from Republicans, who noted that Bondi's remarks are a flagrant violation of free speech protections guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution. They are also, some noted, directly at odds with the views famously espoused by Kirk. Hate speech is a hopelessly subjective term, and even if it weren't, there is no hate speech exception to the First Amendment, said Ed Whelan, a conservative legal expert who formerly clerked for the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. I'm sorry, but this is the sort of left-wing progressivism that conservatives, including Charlie Kirk, abhorred, Eric Erickson said on X. We stand with Jack Phillips, not against him. Asked by ABC News' John Carl to respond to Bondi's remarks on Tuesday, Trump declined to clarify, and instead floated the idea of going after Carl's outlet, albeit in a joking tone. We'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly, Trump said.